This isn't something where we're looking to extract value. This is something that we're really looking as a community benefit. And God willing, this is going to last longer than my lifetime, right? And something that my great grandkids could see. So we have to build with that in mind. There's no reason to build the short term mindset, say, let's extract every dollar we can from this. And who cares what it looks like in 10, 15 years? This is a generational asset for a city that's growing and has its own level of momentum.
Welcome to the Faces of Riverside 2026 conversation series, where we have a chance to sit down and dig a little deeper into the individuals, their organizations, and the good work that they do for folks that are profiled in the 2026 magazine. Today, we're joined by Greg Scott from Legacy Logistics and GCS Development, and I'm super honored to have him here. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Norm. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. This is going to be exciting because you're doing some pretty amazing things here in Riverside. Folks that live in the town may or may not have heard about the project that you're working on, but I want to kind of dig into that and get a better understanding about what that involves and timing and all those types of questions. But before we start, I thought we might give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to today in terms of the project you're working on.
Okay, so give me about an hour and I'll walk you through my life story and we'll
Fair
make it.
enough.
Really came to Riverside by accident. Just was looking for a fresh start, was newly married, had a very young daughter, and just wanted a new opportunity. Came to Riverside. It was the hottest place I've ever been in my life. Such a challenge, was such a change from what I was used to. But, over time, just really the community grew on me. I was able to start my first business here. And, once you catch that entrepreneurship bug, it's something that doesn't leave you. And what a great community of support and, excellence and just really a place where you can grow. And that's what my family and I have been able to do here. So I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a brother, right? And the business comes
Okay, so a couple of questions that come up as a result of that answer. Where did you initially come from?
I was living at Long Beach
Well,
at the time.
that's a very different climate than here in Riverside.
Yeah, listen, it felt like I was in a whole nother state when I came here.
Okay, and what year was that? How long ago was that you moved to Riverside?
That was in 2014.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, so I'm going on year 12.
Okay, so you mentioned that you started a business. Is that the Legacy Logistics that we're talking about?
No, actually, my first business was a credit card processing business. So I was the guy that would walk into a Starbucks and say, "Hey, listen, I want to give you this amazing credit card machine and I'll negotiate your rate with the bank and we'll get you all set up." So I did that for about a year and a half and was able to sell that business and didn't look back from there.
Okay, so when did Legacy Logistics come into play?
So Legacy started in 2018.
Okay, tell me a little bit about what that is.
So it's a freight and package delivery company. Started with five guys and five U-Haul vans, and we've been able to grow the last 7, 9 years actually now that I think about it, and have over 115 employees and um, 50, 60 trucks, and just really growing. And it's been amazing for myself and my team.
Is that so? Do you so if I did a little research, and so the business focuses on, is it called the last mile or the in terms of delivery?
Exactly, exactly. And we've gone through a few iterations. So we've gone through freight, we've gone through appliance delivery, furniture delivery, pallet storage, we've done 3PL, and then we've really kind of found our niche and final mile, the last mile. So getting it from the warehouse to the customer's door.
Okay, so there's a lot of warehouses here. Okay, okay, fair enough. So you're running this business. You have over 100 employees. You're busy, I would imagine. Is that a safe statement?
Safe.
Okay. And then for those of us that know you somewhat well, we discover or you announce that there is a whole new project that you're working on with a whole new company referred to or named GCS Development. Tell me a little bit about that, just an overview about what that project looks like and why, for someone who's busy doing what you're doing and doing it very successfully, one of the fastest growing companies in the state of California, do you decide to embark on something like this?
You know what, Norm? I was asking myself this last night as I looked in the mirror, full of tears and anxiety. Really, this was such an organic process. I was in a leadership Riverside cohort in the city of Riverside, and we just got a message from our assistant city manager regarding our city for the next 5 to 10 years and what we were looking to do. And a few years ago, I made an investment into Orange County Soccer Club. So that's a professional soccer team that plays in Irvine, California.
Okay.
So when our city leadership says we want professional sports, obviously my ears perk up. So what started as me just wanting to help facilitate the conversation, maybe I can make introductions and just really help our city, get on the map because I believe in sports and I see how they unite communities and I see the benefit of having them. And I look at our city and our market and I think, why not here? So that went from me just offering support and sending a few messages to, you know what, Greg, put this on paper and let's make this happen. And that's where we are now. So, looking at a 56-acre development here in the city on the north side, full of entertainment, sports, and family fun.
Okay. So let's delve a little deeper into that in particular. So this chapter, if you will, and that's my terminology, but this chapter in the life of Greg Scott is clearly about vision and development, sports, community, and all of this kind of rolled into one project. And that project, we're calling it the Riverside Sports and Entertainment District. Is that correct?
For now, and so I can get a catchy name.
So you're thinking about a catchy name?
Yeah, I mean, how fun is it to say, "Hey, I'm at the X," right? So I'm
Okay.
wanting a nice brand, a nice identifier, something that we can all hang on to.
Okay. So it's early, I'm sure. Would you care to share any of those ideas or any names that have been floating around in your brain? Or is it too early?
Well, it's early, and two, somebody will listen to this and go trademark it, and then charge me $1,000,000 to buy it back. So, and you'd be surprised.
Yeah, well, my diabolical plan has just been uncovered. So we'll hold off on the actual naming. So let's talk about because it is a mouthful to say the Riverside Sports and Entertainment District, but it also is pretty clearly defined. But for folks that have never heard about it or hearing about it now for the very first time, how would you describe it?
Easiest way, it's a stadium anchored mixed use development. So really a development, and we made 4 pillars for it. And 4 pillars were eat, play, cheer, and belong. So I actually came at this from I reverse engineered this. So usually when you're looking at development, hey, you look at a piece of property, hey, what can we put here? What makes the most sense? What makes the most profit? What really makes it pencil out and be feasible in a successful project? I went from the opposite spectrum. So I went from as a resident, as a father who wants to see his kids grow up in the city of Riverside and want to stay here and build their lives here. What do we need? What are we missing? And I looked and I saw entertainment, sports, fun, concert venues. Like, what do we do to entertain our community? And I started to reverse engineer from there to create the project. So, sports is a no brainer. We support LAFC, LA Galaxy, San Diego teams. And now it's an opportunity for this region that has over 4 million people and has 0 professional teams. So really representing the 12th largest MSA or market in the United States. And out of the top 25, the only one with 0 professional teams. So that was really clearly the anchor that we can put into that district. And then everything else was just an offshoot from it. So an indoor outdoor concert facility, having mixed use residential with experiential retail and opportunities for us to have community soccer fields so we can have soccer tournaments and just building a district that really allowed us to have a central place to gather whether you like restaurants, playing soccer, watching other rectangular sports. We really just wanted to build a community hub and something that we really don't have in our city and only few places in our region as well.
So, describe for me that process in terms of crafting the vision. I understand and appreciate reverse engineering it. Is this you sitting at your kitchen table or in your office at your desk, reverse engineering and putting it all together in one big idea that you then fill out in terms of the details of that? Were you thinking this is a soccer stadium and oh, it would be great to add this, that, and the other? How long is that development process in your mind onto paper and before it becomes something that you could actually begin to execute on?
And that's a great question. I mean, really, you start big. So when we think district, I mean, you think multiple elements. You think people walking, enjoying themselves, riding bikes, driving through it, having multiple kind of touch points of entertainment. And you realize that the stadium, and that's why we say it's a stadium anchored mixed use project, because you think the stadium is going to bring the fans, the attention, the excitement, and then everything else formulates after that. So really you figure out stadium, okay, can that be done? Is there enough land? And then what can we put around it? Because also stadiums, I mean, they present unique challenges. They are very capital intensive and they need the support of ancillary services, restaurants, facilities, right, to really make them continue to be alive. The old model of having stadiums where it's just a stadium and then parking, that's probably not as attainable anymore as it used to be, unless you're an NFL team, right? Because it has enough seats to drive enough fans to drive enough revenue to support that. But you think of a stadium, if it's only active for 18 games out of the year, how do you solve for the rest of those days, right? So you have to think dual use. What can we do in that stadium on a game day and outside of a game day? What can we do in the district on a weekday, right? You really need to have this 365 model where you're doing festivals and concerts and events and community events, right? To really activate and make sure that that investment can return, but then also be something that's just not sitting there for, 360 days out of the year.
Okay, so honestly, Greg, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued about this process, so I kind of want to ask another question around that. You're a guy that started a business here locally that ended up being very successful. You sold that business. You started another successful business that it flourishes to this day. Neither of those businesses have anything to do with this kind of development. So I completely, having gone to the leadership program in Riverside myself, I understand the where the motivation comes and where the inspiration, if you will, to craft ideas like this. But what is it about you that made you think you can come up that you can draft this kind of idea and then actually begin to manifest it?
An irrational belief in myself and God that I can get these things done. But I think the truth of the matter is really you start to understand in business that if a business is just centered on you as a person and what your capabilities are, you're putting a ceiling and a cap on what you can actually accomplish, right? So there's no one person that can do any of this, right? But if you can build the right team around you with the right experience, with the right structure, then you can start putting these things into place. And when it comes to development, I tell people development's like doing a 10,000 piece puzzle with no box or instructions. But how do you do it? You start building around the edges and then you start putting colors together and then you start organizing and then you ask someone else, hey, you work on this section, you work on that section. So you really become the quarterback or the point guard. I was a basketball player. I was a point guard. My job was to put people in positions to be successful where they could shoot the ball, where they were open to get a wide open shot, right? So business, I keep the same type of capacity and mentality of, hey, it's my job to just set the tone. I set the table, set the vision, and then I put the team in place to get it done.
Okay. So building a team is obviously has been and certainly will be. I imagine that team's going to be growing as the project continues to move forward. What has that process been like for you in terms of identifying the right kinds of people? How do you make that kind of analysis?
That's a great question. So really, a lot of it starts with vision. So Hey, this is my vision. This is what I want to achieve. Give me your thoughts. How do you feel about this? Is this something that you can kind of hold on to, right? Or because if there's a separation of vision, it's going to be really hard for us to go get to the same destination. So, first of all, is there synergy between us? Can we work together, right? Can we see this thing through together? Because we're going to be joined at the hip for the next 3 to 5 years trying to see this through. Second, what's the background? What's the experience? And does it fit what we're looking to do, right? And then even when it comes to capital partners and co-development partners, what are they bringing to the table? And for me, this is such a Riverside first project. It has to be with that vision in mind. Again, this isn't something where we're looking to extract value. This is something that we're really looking as a community benefit. And God willing, this is going to last longer than my lifetime, right? And something that my great grandkids could see. So we have to build with that in mind. There's no reason to build the short term mindset. Say, let's extract every dollar we can from this. And who cares what it looks like in 10, 15 years? This is a generational asset for a city that's growing and has its own level of momentum. So it really comes down to, do you fit the vision? Is there synergy there? Do you have the experience? And can we get it done together?
Okay, so that all makes sense. So what is it? Why do you believe that Riverside is ready for something like this right now?
You know, the funny thing is, it's so weird because, you know, when in our city, sometimes we have this mindset of that's nice, but maybe not us, right? Maybe not Riverside. And as I started to have these conversations, and I would bring people from outside of our market into our market, they would say, Greg, this city's amazing. It's magical. Like, you guys really have something here. And that validation, I would hear it over and over and over again. And it really gave the confidence of, yes, I mean, look at everything we have going for us. We have 3 universities, we have a community college, we have a bustling school district, right? We're considered a pretty large city, over 300,000 people. And then our market is very comparable to other markets that have done this without the benefit of year round playable weather, right? And without some of the challenges that some of these other places have. So after a while, it started to become not why Riverside, it started to become why not Riverside.
That makes sense. So you mentioned you're a basketball guy. I happen to be a basketball guy myself, also a point guard, so I can appreciate some of the key points that you're talking about. But we're talking about professional soccer. I understand you made an investment in a team in Orange County, but it has to be asked, why soccer?
That's a great question. Wife played soccer. So she's a Hall of Famer. I have to give her credit. She played at Concordia University and was an amazing player. She's always wanted me to get into soccer. I was not the biggest fan until about 2022. I saw Messi and Mbappe play for the World Cup, and that was just an amazing game. Those guys were so talented. You can just tell they were on a whole nother level. Still, I was intrigued and started to watch, but I really became on a vacation and we met a founder of an indoor soccer league who wanted me to invest into their league and buy a franchise. Engaged in a sports attorney. He says, Greg, do not make that investment. You're going to be bankrupt in 2 years. He was correct. I'm glad I didn't make the investment.
Okay.
But he said, hey, Orange County has been looking for capital. Why don't you take a look? And I got a chance to spend some time with the majority owner over there, James, and his wife, and just saw the behind the scenes and sports. I mean, it it's a global language. It's something that we all can understand. You see a product on the field, you understand people are playing hard, there's rules, there's sports, but there's this level of excitement and joy. And you see all colors, all races, all religions. It's just about the game. And as you look at the game, it's a beautiful game and it's a great opportunity. And then when you look at the marketplace and what it's doing, I mean, basketball is the number one league in the US, NFL, MLB, we all have those number one sports globally in the United States, but soccer is different. US Soccer League is probably maybe in the top 10 globally, but there are teams and leagues that are way more advanced that have hundreds of years of history, and we're just kind of growing our history here. So, just from the trajectory side, more kids are playing soccer. There's just a bigger opportunity for the trajectory of soccer to go where those other leagues that we currently have are.
Okay. Having said that, I'm a basketball guy. I am also a soccer guy, having started coaching my children when they were 5 years old. And I have grandchildren now, so that kind of dates how long that's been. And ran a local club here, et cetera, et cetera. But we're talking about a professional soccer league. Can you so we're not talking about MLS, right? We're talking about is it my interpretation that it is a farm league that is are they affiliated with MLS clubs or are they describe that to me? And then secondly, if I may, forgive me for stacking questions, but it sounds like you're saying that you believe that professional soccer will contribute to the culture and identity here in Riverside, and that residents will kind of grab onto that. So can you talk a little bit about the league itself and who are competitors, where they are?
Awesome. Great question. So there's three tiers to professional soccer in the US. So there's Division One, which represents the MLS, Major League Soccer. And then there's Division Two and Three, which is where the United Soccer League plays. So Soccer League has the USL Championship, which represents their top league. And then they have USL League One, which is their second league. Cool thing is, in 2028, USL will now be considered a Division One league as well. So we have a really interesting dynamic that's going to happen. So you'll have your Division One MLS, but then you'll also have a Division One USL. So it'll be a competing league. The USL side, it'll match global soccer. So global soccer, you can go from a lower league to the top league by winning your league or winning your tournament. The USL is actually adopting that model. So in 2028, you will now see teams be able to go from the lowest division and climb the ranks to the highest division, Division One, which really represents an amazing opportunity for us to match the global game. But then now every game matters, right? And the MLS, they're playing for the MLS Cup, but it's a closed league and there really aren't stakes outside of that. When you bring in promotion relegation, every game matters because either you're looking to go up or you're trying not to go down. So now you get this new engagement of fans and this new hunger, right? To win, to make it up or to win, to not go down. So competitive nature, Division One. So we'll be going into United Soccer League and participating in that structure.
So that's super exciting. So what you're describing some European and certainly the UK's model of soccer, where the bottom two or three or four teams, whatever's predefined, are relegated down to what it would be the next level down, and those teams are replaced by those that are at the tops of that lower division or that lower group. Do I understand that correctly?
Correct.
Okay. So is this a team that's going to be built from scratch?
Yeah, so we have a letter of intent to build a whole new franchise, which is really exciting because now we get to create a team from scratch. So community development, the name, the logo, the mascot, we really get an opportunity to grow an amazing fan base here in the city of Riverside. And back to your last question, I do think this is something that is going to be a source of cultural pride, not only for Riverside, but I can see for our entire region. Right. There's not many things that we have in our region that we can call our own. And this is really our opportunity to do that. And when I think about LA and Orange County and San Diego, I mean, we're smack dab in the middle of those locations. So I think it's time for us to really have our own identity and be able to stand on our own 2 feet and not mix with those.
I couldn't agree with you more. I, for one, am super excited about the project as a whole. I'm very much excited about the soccer piece in particular. I can certainly imagine what that's like. It's not just about naming and colors and uniforms, but it's about coaching staffs and trainers and players and all of those things. Is that the logical progression once the development itself is done? Is that something that you will be hands-on in terms of orchestrating that, your team at that point, orchestrating the actual development of the club?
Correct. Yeah. So that's the fun part of this discussion. The development and engineering and water and sewer. That's why I'm bald today. Like I should have a nice set of hair but this thing is driving me crazy on that side. So the fun part is a team, right? It's really being able to build this asset. We have so many amazing stories here, not only in our city, but in our region of history and placemaking. And it's our time to really incorporate that. But I just think I can just see it every conversation that I have with someone who's interested in soccer or remembers playing soccer or growing up as a fan of soccer. They're so excited because they also realize the memories that you create through sports, right? Some of my most vivid memories are from sports and being at games or attending them with my parents or my dad or playing in big games, right? It's really tied to sports. And it leaves such a mark on our culture, and it just gives you these memories, and it allows an opportunity for us to make new memories with our families.
That's awesome. So one of the things that you are, and I want to talk about the community and local government and how all of that materializes or presents itself during this process. But I did just want to mention then I get that you're excited about the fun part is gonna be this whole building of the team and the culture of it, and you want them to be competitive, and you've gotta provide them with resources and all of those things. But you are aware that you are opening yourself up to people like me approaching you in a restaurant and saying, "What's up with number 12? What are you doing doing as your attacker on the left side?"
Well, I actually take that really seriously, which is why I want to stay involved. So this isn't, it'd be much easier to do this somewhere else where I can escape to where I actually live. But there's a level of responsibility and accountability that I have, right, to the project and to the team. So not only the product that goes into the development, but the product that goes onto the field eventually is really important to me because I don't want to deal with that, right? And I want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward and at least being able to represent the team in a way that we know that we're giving all of our effort, we're doing the best that we can, but making the city proud.
Okay. Does your is your wife going to play a part in player development or assessing player quality?
I think she would do a great job.
I think so too.
To be honest, she's like super mom. She's carpool with all the kids. She's very involved and, she does such a great job of kind of helping steward our kids, right? And really lead them. But I would love for her to be involved, just have to find the right position that she can take advantage of.
Well, I assume that once she sees you assessing talent for yourself, and I understand that you're going to have coaches and scouts and all of those different things, but at some point she's going to say, "Look, you need to ask me my opinion." So,
Exactly.
so that being said, let's talk about the collaboration because I imagine when you're working on a project like this, there's a lot of collaboration, public and private partners. What has that experience been? Do you feel like you have is everybody in place, or are you early in the game in terms of establishing those types of things?
You know, Depends on what part we're referring to, but I mean, there's so many moving parts here. So I'll give kudos to the city of Riverside. They've been amazing thus far. When you have this much land and a complex deal with multiple uses and multiple purposes, right? You really need them to be behind you and help remove some of the barriers of development. So they've done a great job there thus far. And, we're right smack dab in the middle of doing environmental studies and really working with the city to make sure that we can bring forward a thoughtful development that is, legally acceptable and fits the use of the city, right? So that takes hand in hand collaboration there. I mean, on the team side, it's really working with our partners at the USL and making sure that we have the right timelines, the right expectations, the right playbook, because you really only get one chance to make a first impression. And we want to make a great first impression, right? We don't want to launch this into a mediocrity. We want to launch into a beautiful stadium that's ready to host us, that's ready to grow with our city and provide that level of entertainment that we've all been longing for. And then outside of that, it's just, hey, who are the best partners for the best areas of this project? So, for me, I'm really want to be thoughtful in how we partner with our universities. So creating a pathway both on and off the field. Our universities are amazing. They produce sports management, data management. right? Kinesiologists, athletic trainers, and that's what we need with the team ecosystem. So even those type of collaborations where we can now retain our talent that would also have to go to LA or Orange County for their professional career. Now they may have an opportunity to do that in their own city. So what a great branding opportunity for our colleges to take advantage of. And then you go on the field, those schools also have soccer programs and they're successful in their own rights. So, how do we integrate them? How do we have kind of our first rights to be able to scout them and have them play with the team and have them develop with the team? So, I mean, there's so many different partnerships and tentacles that are coming from this project. And I would be lying if I didn't say there's something new that comes every single day that we can look at, that we can collaborate with, that we can integrate. And I love to listen to all those things because the more people we get involved, the more support we have, the better fan engagement and the better experience, I think.
So things are happening new every day, which makes a ton of sense. And you went through your visioning process and you put this on paper and have begun the steps to move the process along. What's really kind of surprised you the most in your experience with all of this so far?
Water engineering, floodplains, right? Just the developmental challenges that go with a project of this scale, infrastructure or lack thereof, right? Sometimes we look at an empty piece of land and we think, hey, this would be great to do X on. Well, it doesn't just work that way, right? So there are challenges in zoning and planning that needs to be done. And this is all before we even put a shovel in the ground. So you think it's been over a year and there's no shovel in the ground. And it's not from a lack of speed or a lack of desire. It's because there are so many moving parts that you have to account for before you can get to that process. So that's probably been the biggest thing is just it almost seems like every day we hear something new or there's a change or there's a tweak or there's a consideration that we need to account for. So it's all about being flexible and adaptable. But I mean, that's probably been the most surprising part of this development.
So you mentioned shovels in the ground. Do you have an estimated idea in terms of timing when that first shovel will break ground? Because I will definitely be there for that event. But when does that happen in your best case scenario? And then there's a lot more shovels and machinery that needs to take place, and concrete and plumbing and all these other things. When do you imagine this comes to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to be the first shovel. That's all I care about. If I can be the first shovel in, and I can hold the scissors on the day that we open, then I did my job. Best case scenario, I mean, I would love if we can get shovels in the ground by the end of this year or early next year to really start building out that stadium parcel and have that up and running in 2028 for that season. That would be my best case.
So, if I understood that correctly, you are hoping for best case scenario is a year from shovel to scissors?
No, about 14, 15 months.
Okay, okay. Are you concerned about the 14, 15 months, and I don't know the timing of the season in terms of, soccer in particular, and there's obviously much more involved here than just a soccer stadium and a soccer team, but, if you hit a certain if 14 months becomes 16 months, does that mean the team doesn't start for another year after that? Or is part of your timing predicated on trying to get the team on the field in 28?
Correct. So the timing is really for us to enter into that stadium. I mean, and this is where you talk about collaboration with your partners, being able to adjust our schedule to maybe elongate our initial away games so that we have additional time should there be a delay and allow us to be able to get into the stadium when it's complete. The hope and the goal is that 2028 season to be in that stadium and going. If there's a delay, that's one of the things that you have to account for, right? You have to have a backup plan. So we would have to look at ancillary facilities, but I'm a user experience guy. I think that first impression means a lot. I think we're building a lot of anticipation for the stadium. And I think that's the right way to do it.
That makes sense. So it makes sense also to have a logistics guy kind of heading this up. There seems to be, I take back what I said in the beginning, there seems to be some true synergy between the two businesses that you run. And I'm super excited to see what that looks like. So you're obviously taking part in shaping what is potentially an extremely important part of the future of Riverside in a significant way. What does that mean to you personally?
It means that my life was much more simple before I announced this. It was never really my goal to be known. I just wanted to build business. And at this point in business, I'm really living vicariously through my team. So I really enjoy them succeeding and growing. And hey, Greg, I bought my first house or my first townhouse, my first car. I got married, right? I really hold on to those things. That's what gives me kind of my boost at this point because I think for the most part, I've figured out the business thing, and I think I'll always be able to create something right for myself. So I think I've really leaned into growing a team and just giving them different opportunities to grow themselves. But overall, I mean, to me, it's a legacy. It's something that can outlive me. It's something that I can give tangibly, right, to the city that's given to me. And, I feel like I'm so blessed I'm so glad I'm here, at this time with these people around to support. And it just means the world. And I am laser focused on getting it done. It's bigger than me, right? This is something that I think could be a legacy project for our city and really push our city forward as well. So I mean, I just have all intentions to get this thing done. It's bigger than me. I know I'm the face of it. I know I'm the steward of it, and I take that very seriously. But this is really for us. This is really an us project. This is, hey, can we wrap our arms around this and help facilitate this going through? Whether support from the city, whether support from the business community, support from our civic community. It's going to take all of us to make this thing happen. This is a huge undertaking, and I've just taken the lead on it, but it's something that I feel I can give back to the city, and it becomes a legacy, and if I'm known for doing that, that would be amazing.
That sounds right. That sounds right. Your team today on the development side, how big is that team? And I know this is a question that you probably cannot answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. At some point, as the development starts to reach its conclusion, there's going to need to be a lot of people involved in this process, not just those private companies that come in and are using or leasing space in the facility and so forth, but how big do you imagine your team to be when the development is done and you're now embarking on the, which is probably happening concurrently, but you're now embarking on the filling out of the space and the development of the team and so forth. Do you have any concept of what that is? Is that thousands of people? Is it hundreds of people?
Yeah, so I think it's better to talk about the entire ecosystem because there are gonna be things that where we won't touch, right?
Right.
So you think of having a hotel on site, apartments, townhomes, community fields, entertainment venues, commercial spaces. So you're talking about team employees, stadium facility employees, district employees to maintain that, the leasing agents, right? The apartment complex workers, right?
Right.
So it's going to be much bigger than us. And as we build, we're not looking for our internal staff to grow, so to speak. It's really about our partners. So as we bring in someone to develop the apartment complex and they bring in their team, right? That counts to us. And when we bring in the security company to maintain the district, they have their own ecosystem. So it's really about the pockets that are going to grow from this because you are talking about a legitimate ecosystem that's going to be built on the north side of Riverside.
Okay, so just a couple more questions. I'm so intrigued by this, I could do this for another hour. But that being said, from a personal professional standpoint, I realize those sound like contradictory terms, but it'll make sense with the question. How has this project forced you to stretch personally, and or professionally outside of your comfort zone? Has there been a moment yet? I imagine there'll be a few, but has there been a moment yet where you thought, "Whoa, this is bigger than me. I'm not sure I'm the guy.
Well, I would say the first thing it stretched was my wallet.
Fair.
That's yeah, yeah. So that's probably the first thing. Honestly, it's been my I'm a behind the scenes type of guy. So I've had to speak about this project. I've had to present regarding this project. And as it continues to progress, now people are actually intrigued with what I have to say. So I get invited to speak to different groups and businesses, and that is not really something I've been very comfortable with. On the outside, I can look great and amazing. On the inside, it is some little kid trembling behind a blanket. But you learn that that's okay. And that's something that I teach my kids. It's okay to feel an emotion, but the real goal is to push through it and do it anyway. So I just said, hey, for the last 2 years, I told myself, hey, I'm just going to say yes. Hey, Greg, can you speak here? Sure. Yes. And it's so crazy that the thing that I did not want to do has opened up more doors by saying yes, because in every situation, I'll speak and someone will come and say, I love what you said. I actually have what you're looking for. So, and that level of discomfort has come more opportunities, right? To really not only develop this project, but to have other opportunities.
Good answer. Okay. So I imagine that as a longtime Riversider myself, I've been here since way back in the 1900s. This is super exciting. It really is. I think a lot of people, I imagine that you're seeing and or experiencing a lot of people that are expressing that to you. Are folks coming up to you saying, I want to be a part of this in some way, shape, or form? Beyond just I got a business that builds trash cans and I'd love to supply you with trash cans.
Yes, we're getting every spectrum, right? From players to I want to coach to can you hire me for a leadership position? So we're getting every inquiry you could think of from business to personal.
And how do you because people that are asking if they are able to speak to you directly and they are making those kinds of requests, they feel like they have some kind of inside track. And you obviously have to because they're talking to the man directly. So you obviously have to kind of keep those individuals in mind. How do you manage that? Do you put them in buckets? Do you nod approvingly and hope that they come back at some point in the future when it's more relevant for them to ask that question? Or what is that like for you?
I mean, it depends on how crazy they look. So if I think they could do me harm, yeah, yeah, hey, I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll let you know next week. But outside of that, really, hey, there's protocols to this. So
Sure.
some things we're not even in a position to even consider at this point, right? Because we aren't there. So
Right.
best thing is, hey, we're creating a database. Go to our website, connect with us, select your level of interest, and we will genuinely go through and see if there's synergy there, right? Because I understand, I would be excited. I would want to work there as well if something like this came in my backyard.
Right.
But at the same time, there's only so many positions. And also, the consideration is the experience, right? Do you even have that experience, or is this more of a want and desire, right? Because maybe there's another way you can get involved outside of what you want to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you probably can be our coach just because you coached AYSO. That's probably not what we're going to select, but maybe that's a youth director opportunity, right? Where you can use your skill set just in a different mode or method.
Right. Right. Well, just for the record, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring because I coached 16-year-old girls in club soccer. So if that puts me anywhere near the top of the list for head coach, super excited about that opportunity. We could talk about that. That being said, and there was a time, by the way, I realized I probably should not be coaching these girls anymore because the level of experience and skills that I have is no longer a benefit to them. So let me ask you one more question, maybe two more. So you're a guy who moved to Riverside. You start a couple of businesses. You start a third business. It is surrounding this amazing project. thrust into the proverbial limelight. You are asked to speak at different events. You're probably very busy around all of that. What does that guy do when he has nothing to do on a set? Let's just pretend he has nothing to do on a Friday evening through the weekend. What do you do to relax? What do you do to kind of disconnect from all of this?
We had season tickets to CBU that so that was the first year for CBU basketball, men's and women's, and, they're in the tournament right now, which is a big deal
Tonight.
tonight and tomorrow, so, wishing them good luck. So that's been amazing distraction to go to those games with my family. We also go to the Orange County Soccer Club games, so a lot of it surrounding sports, and then, when you have kids, you're either at a birthday party, or at one of their sporting games, and other than that, I'm a Netflix documentary nerd. I love a good Netflix documentary. I just saw the one on the Murdochs, and I was having a blast. It was amazing.
Okay, don't spoil it for me. I'm halfway through. Go ahead.
I'll spoil it for you. So, yeah, I mean, really simple. I would be lying if I didn't say I haven't been so consumed with this project for the last year that I probably put some things on the back burner, but just because it's just so important to me right now. And, it's an area where I had to give myself a little bit of grace because you don't know how good your life was or how simple it was before you take on something of this magnitude. Like, I really had a lot of free time. I used to go to Top Golf a lot
Uh
and
huh.
go to the movie theaters a lot and just do some simple things, but it gives you an appreciation, right? One for your time, your energy, and your resources. But then when it's time to lock in, it's time to lock in. You got to accomplish your goal.
Okay. Okay, well, let me just say I am super appreciative to have the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I have considerable amount of respect for the undertaking that you have decided to participate in. I'm very excited about what the future looks like, and I know this is going to be a great project, and there's probably going to be surprises along the way and challenges along the way. I don't think there's anyone better to deal with those, and I'm sure you're building a quality team around you, so thank you for this. Is there a question that I didn't ask you that I should have?
Man, that is a great question. I think you just asked it. I think you did it.
Well,
You might
thank
have
you.
won. Yeah, I'm always thinking about entrepreneurship and a lot of my conversations center around that. And people will say, "Hey, Greg, I want to do what you're doing." And I ask them, "Why? Why do you want to do this? What's intriguing about this? Is it the lifestyle that you think you can get? Is it the accolades you think you can get? Or is it the realities of headaches and anxiety and worry and challenges and overcoming and perseverance?" Right? Because that comes with the package as well. Always just intrigued by that. So you did it by asking why. That's the question. Why do this, Greg?
Great. My friend, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we'll all be watching.
Thanks, Norm.
You're welcome.